Welcome back. I'm David Gura with a live look at Washington, D.C. right now. On the left-hand side of your screen, you see Freedom Plaza. That is on Pennsylvania Avenue, just east of the White House, just a couple of blocks north of the mall in Washington, D.C. Gathered there a lot of counter-protesters there to protest against a rally of white nationalists, of white supremacists that's scheduled to take place right in front of the White House, just north of the White House on Lafayette Plaza at 5:30 Eastern Time. The organizers of that rally, participants in it, are making their way from the Vienna Metro station just west of Washington in Northern Virginia via Metro to Foggy Bottom, where the George Washington University is. You look at that screen on the upper right corner of your television screen there. You see some police officers, some folks standing. That is the entrance to that subway station from which those white nationalists, those white supremacist protesters are expected to emerge, and they'll make their way from Foggy Bottom to Lafayette Plaza, just north of the White House. We'll be monitoring this throughout the afternoon, of course. Joining me now is Roland Martin. He is the host and managing editor of TV One's News One Now, along with Allison. She is the acting executive director and senior advisor of the Leadership Conference. Roland, let me start with you. I just want to get your perspective on this day, what we're seeing, what you're thinking as you look at those pictures, the several hundred gathered there on Freedom Plaza, the anticipation as we wait to see who's going to emerge from that subway station in just a couple hours' time.
This is no surprise. I've been talking about this since 2009, that we were living in this age of white minority resistance. Look, in the next 25 years, by 2043, America is going to become a minority country, a nation majority people of color. And there are whites in this country that cannot handle that. There are white men that cannot handle that. Because look, this has been a nation that was founded for white male landowners. Women could not vote. African Americans were not even citizens. We won't even talk about Latinos and Asians. And so what we have are people who cannot handle the demographic changes that we're seeing, which Laura Ingraham talked about on Fox News this week. That is a reality. This is not going to go away if Trump loses in 2020. We'll be dealing with this for the next 25 plus years in America.
Ashley, I want to get your perspective on this as well. Roland bringing up that extraordinary open that Laura Ingraham read on her show on Wednesday night, in which she talked about demographics, clearly expressed some frustration about where this country is today and where it's headed. I'll point out there were millions of people who watch that show and listen to her every day on the radio as well. What do you make of this moment when you look at the plaza, when you look at Freedom Plaza, when you look at what's happening in Washington, D.C. today, Ashley?
The reality is that we have a president that gives white nationalists and people like Laura Ingraham a platform to push forward hate and bigotry. This is the administration that has put forth the Muslim ban, that has put forward a citizenship question on the census, has separated families of immigrant communities, has called black athletes SOBs for protesting to stop police violence. The reason why we're seeing white supremacists protest in his name is because the administration's policies are perpetuating and advancing an agenda around white supremacy.
But Dave, we also must go deeper, because we're looking at the individuals who are marching, these white supremacists who are marching. That's not really who we should be concerned about. We should be concerned about the individuals who are smart enough not to march, but who are sitting in politics in corporate America, who are sitting in media, individuals who are controlling the apparatus, who are sitting on Wall Street, who hold these feelings in terms of different feelings about minorities, in terms of not providing opportunities. That's the real issue here, and I think too often we overlook that. Too often we somehow believe that it's only the people who are walking with Confederate flags or having hoods or who are yelling white lives matter. No, it's the individuals who have racial animus, who are in positions of power. That, to me, is even more deadly, because you know what? They don't wear the hoods, but they wear suits and they wear ties, and they make decisions that impact people of color every single day.
Ashley, I want you to weigh in on that. Roland's talking about these real signifiers, be that these protesters who are going to be getting off that metro station in just a few minutes. Talking about another signifier today as well. That, of course, is what Omarosa alleges is on a tape, the president using the N-word. How important are those real signifiers versus what Roland's talking about, what's lurking behind the scenes, what we don't see day in and day out?
I completely agree with Roland. The Leadership Conference is a coalition of over 200 organizations that fight for civil and human rights. And when we do that day in and day out, we focus on policymakers to ensure that they're pushing forward a platform to advance civil and human rights. We focus on corporate America. We focus on the everyday individual who may have had an awakening, unfortunately, after the death of Heather Heyer. We at the Leadership Conference and all of our coalition members, we aren't just looking at the white nationalists that are marching today, but all of the actors that play a part in continuing hate and bigotry in our country.
My thanks to both of you. Go ahead, Roland, please.
I would love to hear Donald Trump have some guts to come out and talk about Republicans and voter suppression and how they are trying to keep African Americans and young people and the elderly from voting. Not only that, I talked to Pastor Daryl Scott, who's talked about Trump having this urban initiative. Well, here's the thing, and I saw this comment from Senator Tim Scott saying Trump has done things in the past year like opportunity zones. But guess what you have not heard? You have not heard Donald Trump actually give a speech on that. You have not heard Donald Trump go before the National Urban League and the NAACP. He won't even meet with the black press. And so if he's concerned about these issues, why won't he talk publicly about them?
You mentioned Pastor Daryl Scott. I recall interviewing him, telling him, come back when you got your report ready. He and I have not spoken since he made the promise that he would. I haven't seen that report. Roland Martin, my thanks for your time today. My thanks to Ashley Allison as well.
Thank you.